Hey everybody. If you've seen me before, you'll probably see me talking about Saturn, or the concept that we are all one, and that all things work together for good to those who love God. If you haven't seen me before, hey, I'm Daryl Golden, and I make videos about Saturn and the concept that we are all one, and that I kid. I make videos about a lot of things, and Saturn just happens to come up a lot. This video is quite special to me. I'm honoured to be able to present you with a lyric breakdown of the song Made for You by a band called Bled The Fifth. I'll be playing clips of the song and then running through my interpretation of the lyrics. I know the vocalist personally. She's been a friend of mine for about 20 years now, and I know for a fact that this is not her interpretation of the lyrics. She has her own reasons for putting these words together in the way that she did. What you're about to see is what I heard when I first listened to this song. You'll see why I got excited about it by the end. It wasn't consciously written about Saturn at all. It just sounds like it was, in literally every lyric. So these are coinkydinks more than links. And even more of a coinkydink, it was released just after Saturn came out of retrograde this year. This is a video made for fun, using a lot of associations from astrology, numerology, etymology, hermeticism, Gnosticism, gematria, and other things. The number 6 comes up a lot in this video, so don't watch it if you're a hexaphobe, especially if you're a hexacosii hexaphobe, which is a fear of the number 666. There's a lot of Saturnic links that I want to share with you, but first, for people who are new to my channel, I'd better talk a little bit about Saturn. In the esoteric realm, Saturn is said to be the god of this world. He is associated with the number 6 and the cube, which has 6 faces, which is 3 dimensions that we live in, but in both directions, because this is the world of duality. Everything has 2 sides. So you have up and down, left and right, forwards and backwards. That's 3 dimensions, 6 directions. Saturn is known as the god of simulations. You may remember an old video game console called the Sega Saturn, or the Nintendo GameCube, or the Xbox, or the Nintendo 64. Some of you thinking, Nintendo 64? Where's the Saturn reference in that? Well, 64 is a cube number. It's the 4x4x4 cube. And the older 8-bit consoles reference the cube as well, as 8 is a cube number. It's 2x2x2. The current consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X or S, are 512-bit, which is an 8x8x8 cube. And these consoles usually take discs, which look like rings, and Saturn has rings. The Xbox has the red ring of death. The ring symbolizes eternity, as they have no beginning and no end. The Greek equivalent of Saturn is Kronos. They both symbolize Father Time. Chronological time is time in order, in a linear fashion. And in time you have 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 24 hours in a day. And 2 and 4 is 6. An ancient name for Saturn is L. The 12th letter of the alphabet is L. And you have 12 hours on a clock and 12 months in a year. Saturn represents structure and things being in order. Saturn is said to eat his children as time devours all beings. Saturn, Kronos, Linear, and Devour are all 6 letters. Saturn is often associated with Satan, but Satan just means adversary or to oppose in Hebrew. Satan is not some angry bald red man with a pitchfork. Satan is a name that would have been used to describe anyone who opposes the powers that be. Any rebel. Anybody playing the devil's advocate. It's more of a symbology than demonology. The number 9 is considered divine in a lot of religions and pantheons, especially in Nordic, Hinduism, and Buddhism. 9 is the highest single-digit number, and everything in the 9 times table adds up to 9. 18 is 1 plus 8, which is 9. 27, 2 plus 7 is 9. Even halving it works. 4.5 is 4 and 5 is 9. 2.25 is 2, 2 and 5 is 9. A 6 is a 9 upside down and represents the material world, which makes it the opposer. But even with 666, 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18, and 1 plus 8 is 9, and 9 is divine. The 6th element of the periodic table is carbon. carbon-12 has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. The word carbon is from the word car, meaning either carrier, or carne, which is Latin for flesh, and bon, meaning good, as carbon is a good carrier. It makes good flesh. Carbon has 6 letters, so does matter. So when I say something is Saturnic, I'm not saying it's about devil worship. It's about material things or desires of the flesh. Saturn is depicted with a sickle or a scythe. He is the reaper, and the reaper isn't evil. The reaper just helps you move on to the next stage of being, and you reap what you sow. Sickle, scythe, and reaper are also 6 letters. Santa is an anagram of Satan, and Santa is also a representation of Saturn. He makes toys for the children out of materials, or elements, with the help of his elves. And Saturn makes everything that is physical, crystallizes them into being. Saturn is said to have made the matrix we are manifested in. Matrix means womb in Latin. The womb is of the mother, and we live on Mother Earth. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and is an earth sign. Saturn is the 6th planet from the sun. Saturday is Saturn's day, and is the 6th day. The 6th chakra is the Ajna chakra, which is the 3rd eye chakra. The 3rd eye is known as the all-seeing eye, and he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He also knows when you've been bad or good, so be good, as Christmas is coming. As I wrote these words, I was on a bus, and I heard the song start playing, and these synchronicities are what convinces me I'm on the right path. Santa isn't evil. He doesn't even punish the bad kids. He just gives them what they deserve. The coal is symbolic, as activated charcoal is used to clean the body. Pregnant women sometimes crave charcoal as their bodies recognize that they need to clean up for the baby's arrival. Santa's just like a stern father that won't give you a Christmas present if you've been misbehaving, and Stern and Saturn both share the consonants STRN. So that's probably enough about Saturn for now, though it is worth mentioning that Saturn also represents the colours black, indigo, and purple. The next section includes something called gematria. This involves assigning numbers to the letters of the alphabet, so that A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z, or Z, which is 26. Then adding the total up and comparing the number you get with other words of the same value. So for instance, the word Saturn is 93, which is the same as the word physical and the words the order. Seeing as Saturn created the physical world and puts order to things, they have a shared theme. Also, the 9 and 3 from 93 is 12, and 12 is L. And the 1 and 2 from 12 is 3. And didn't Nikola Tesla say that if you understood the true meaning of 3, 6, and 9, you unlock the secrets of the universe? Gematria doesn't work on absolutely every combination of letters and words, but there are some very interesting links and coincidences that come up when you go looking. So the gematria value for made for you is 123, and 1, 2, and 3 is 6. Harvesting is also 1, 2, 3, and Saturn is the god of the harvest, Mr. Reaper with his scythe. And Saturn Day is 1, 2, 3, although Saturn Day isn't a real word, so it might seem like I'm stretching it a bit. Stretching is also 1, 2, 3, and time is measured in stretches. Do you find this disturbing? Well, disturbing is 1, 2, 3 as well, and Saturn eating his own children is a bit disturbing. There's a lot of examples I could give, but I want to keep this video under 6 hours long, so I'll move on to the band name. Bled the Fifth, which is 105, and 1 and 5 is 6. There's 12 letters in Bled the Fifth, and it shares a value with Father Time, 105. Also Time Loop, 105, as time is cyclical. Carnivore, 105, which is desires of the flesh. Rockstar, 105, because rockers are rebels, and Human Bondage, 105, as we're all bound by time in our experience on Earth. It's amazing what Gematria reveals. Gematria reveals is 156. It's all connected, 156. Even the kitchen sink, 156. You know who wrote the lyrics to this song? Danielle Sambrook, 156. And 1, 5, and 6 is 12. 666 is also 156. So she must be a master creator, 156. Like that guy from the North Pole, 156. Do you think she might have some hermetic wisdom? You guys know about hermetic wisdom? As above, so below, 156. As within, so without, 253. So what's that got to do with Danielle? Well, nothing. Until I include her middle name, Danielle Victoria Sambrook, 253. What a coinkydink. But now for the best part, the lyrics. And would you believe, the best part, the lyrics, 253. Before you go thinking anything crazy, just remember this is all for fun. Gematria doesn't mean you are the devil or anything weird, and not all the words you share a gematria value with will be relevant to you. But it is interesting how many words of the same value would fit the same theme. You should try entering your name into a gematria calculator and see what comes up. So the first verse of the song. I want to thank Bled the Fifth for allowing me to present this to you. Here's the first verse.
We're standing together, leading the way. We're bonded together. Can you say we're stuck in a prison, repeating the day? We're all in a prison, repeating the day. Repeating the
So the first line, we're standing together. We stand together in this plane of existence as there's many of us here, leading the way as we've been given free will to choose our own path. We're binded together as we're all here bound by time. They say time doesn't exist outside of Saturn's world, and time is time-me. We're here until our time is up. And then you say, we're stuck in a prison. See, there's groups of people that think this world that we're in is actually a prison world, and prison is a 6-letter word. And this isn't just groups like the Gnostic Christians who think this. A large number of people who saw the control exercised by the government during the lockdown in 2020 believe that we live in a prison. People not being allowed to see their loved ones because the governments around the world were telling people that we need to stay inside. And they assured us we're in this together when they were breaking the rules themselves, having parties with port and cheese, showing that we're not really in this together. And obviously they weren't worried about passing on a virus. So what it looks like was they took advantage of the situation and exercised their control over the population, and the world became a prison. So you can't really blame people for thinking that. We're all in a prison, repeating the day. The Gnostic Christians believe that this whole world is a prison, created by a demiurge, from the Greek word demiurgos, which originally meant craftsman, but later became a word for producer and creator. They believe this demiurge is a lesser god who created this world and is malevolent and evil, a bit like how people think Saturn is satanic. There's religious scholars who argue that Yahweh, the god of the Old Testament, is the same as the Egyptian god Seth, who is seen as a malevolent storm god with the head of a donkey. It's worth noting that Yahweh, donkey, and Saturn all have 6 letters. In a poem by the Latin poet Tibullus, Yahweh's Sabbath was referred to as Saturni Dies, which means Saturn's Day. This eventually led to the word Saturday in English. Saying this, Yahweh and Saturn are not generally considered to be the same, and I would like to remind everyone here, in case I cause any offense, that this channel is for entertainment purposes. I have strong and biased beliefs about Saturn, and I love pointing out all of the links and coinkydinks surrounding it. Like Saturn representing the number 6 and having links to the words that have 6 letters, like strong, biased, and belief. I subscribe to the idea that Saturn has made the material world, which is similar to the Gnostic Christians, but I don't think that this place is evil. I think this place is beautiful. Christians who take the Bible at his literal word get upset at the idea of there being a lesser God, but then they have a hard time explaining verses from the Bible that support that idea, like Exodus chapter 20 verse 5. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. And Exodus chapter 34 verse 14. For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord whose name is jealous is a jealous God. So why would God say, I am a jealous God, if there is only one God? Why not just say, I get jealous, or don't worship false idols? And why would his name be jealous? And why is God, who is perfect and infallible, feeling jealous in the first place? All the Abrahamic religions show Saturn symbolism, where Saturn represents the cube and the color black, and Orthodox Jews wear a black cube on their heads called a tefillin. Devout Muslims will go on a pilgrimage to Mecca and walk around the Kaaba, which means cube in Arabic. The Kaaba is a cube building that's draped in black cloth. Christianity doesn't have a black cube, but it does depict Jesus on a cross, and a cross looks like one of the ways you can open a cube, or a cube in its two-dimensional net form. So on to the chorus.
I don't know why I'm screaming your name. It's only time I'm longing for. We're stuck in a prison, repeating the day. I don't know why it's made for you.
The first line of the chorus, I don't know why I'm screaming your name. I like that line. It's saucy. It alludes to the desires of the flesh, the carnal desires of screaming the name of your partner during coitus. I used coitus as coitus has 6 letters, and I just can't help myself. Also, carnal, desire, chorus, and even myself has 6 letters. The line doesn't necessarily mean sex, which is how you say the number 6 in German. It could be screaming a name in frustration. The sentence before is, I don't know why. There's a concept in the Book of Mormon that General Butt Naked... Sorry, wrong Book of Mormon. I'll try again. There's a concept in the Church of the Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormon Church, called the Veil of Forgetfulness, also known as spiritual amnesia. The Veil of Forgetfulness is believed to exist during the testing of mortality to ensure that it is a valid test. If people came to Earth with their memories intact, they would not be able to use their agency in the way that the Heavenly Father's plan requires. The mortal journey is for people to discover their true identities and act accordingly. In Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16 to verse 18, it is said that the veil is taken away when someone turns to the Lord. The Quran discusses the veil of time as a creation of Allah that can veil people from Him. We're stuck in a prison, repeating the day. There's an old saying that goes, if you keep doing what you did, you'll keep getting what you got. This line seems to be saying every day feels the same in this prison we're stuck in. That SSDD vibe. Same shizzle, different day. Could also point out that we're stuck in the prison because we're repeating the day. As in, we keep repeating what we did to end up in here in the first place. It's only time I'm longing for. I love the word longing being used next to time, as longing is associated with time too, like longing things out. And I think that was added on the day, as it's in the song but not in the copy of the lyrics. And Saturn is Kronos, who is Father Time. Time moves in chronological order, and time is also slang for a stretch in prison. As the old saying goes, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. It's followed by It's Made for You, which is what this material world is. It's here for us to experience physicality. Our souls are said to be light bodies, and if you put light into a prism, it splits and isolates the colors based on the speed of the wavelength frequency. It's theorized that our bodies work in a similar fashion to this. The colors aren't trapped as such. but they are isolated, meaning that this simulation would be a type of prism that splits us into billions of people at a time, easily manageable if time only exists in the world of Saturn, who is Father Time. A reminder here that these are theories and not facts, and also not the intentions of the one who wrote the lyrics. She told me she wasn't looking at any of this stuff while writing this, and I believe her. I'm not trying to put words in her mouth. I'm just pointing out interesting links, as so much of it fit the themes of Saturn that I'd been looking into at the time, that it blew my mind. So verse 2.
This is the life I've always dreamed of. I told you forever. Is that enough? We wanted it high without coming down. I told you forever.
This is the life I've always dreamed of. Now, if I asked you to guess what planet it is that's associated with dreams, do you think that you'd guess it? I'll give you a clue. It has 6 letters. Have you got it? Should we say it at the same time? It's Uranus! Did you get it right? It's true. In astrology, Uranus is associated with dreams, illusions, and psychic receptivity. Uranus is also one of the ruling planets of Aquarius, along with Saturn, and Uranus is 1 letter away from being an anagram of Saturn. Just change the U for a T. But Danielle isn't talking about dreaming in this line. The line goes, "This is the life I've always dreamed of," implying that the dream has manifested as a reality, and in astrology, Saturn is said to help people achieve their dreams by teaching them life lessons and encouraging personal growth. I told you forever. Is that enough? Forever is represented by rings. Saturn has rings. Most rings represent eternity, like the Ouroboros snake eating its tail, or a wedding ring. I know the vow is till death do us part, but the ring does represent forever. We wanted it high without coming down. Ooh, sounds a bit like a casual drug reference, doesn't it? But drugs aren't the only things that get you high. I got high the other day on fruit juice. Oxygen can get you high. But I don't think the line is about getting high on drugs. I think it's saying we wanted the good without the bad. The way I heard it was we wanted to rise without being pulled back down into this prison. And I told you forever, isn't that enough? I heard as if being told by God of eternal life. Before Adam and Eve ate the apple and came to earth, they were eternal. When they ate from the tree, that meant that they would surely die, as it was at that point that they were sent here, to what is called a prison by many. So obviously for them, forever wasn't enough. In the Devil Tarot card, there's a depiction of Adam and Eve in Satan's world, chained up. And when you look closer, you'll notice the chains are loose. They aren't held here against their will. They can leave at any time. They just want it to look like they're trapped here, because they enjoy what the devil has to offer. The Gnostic Christians feel like we're all held here against our will, but I'd be willing to bet that they have their vices that keep them here too. Nobody's perfect. I believe that you can rise out of this place if you choose to, but if you keep indulging in desires of the flesh or feeding addictions, then you'll be doomed to reincarnate here time and time again to get those experiences that you crave. Jesus says in John chapter 2, verse 15, 16, and 17, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. Basically, your worldly desires is what keeps you bound to this world. Devout Muslims are careful to avoid music. Devout Muslims are careful to avoid music altogether, avoiding anything that could enable you to get carried away and deviate from connecting with Allah. Allah is Arabic for the God. It's a monotheistic religion. If you were a Christian Arab, you would still say Allah when referencing God. I do agree. If you want a connection with God, you should be avoiding music, as God resides in stillness and silence. When you pray, you should be listening and not talking. That's not my opinion. That's in the Bible. That's in Matthew 6:6 of all verses. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Verses 7 and 8 elaborate on this further. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things you have need of before you ask him. It's basically saying that God is all seeing and all knowing, and knows everything that you want and everything that you need before you even form the words to ask for it. If you have faith, you would be able to sit and listen, fully understanding that God knows what you want and will give you what you need. So if connection with God requires silence, then music will definitely pull you away from that. I think music is of Saturn's world, but I don't think listening to music makes you a Satanist or a devil worshipper. There is a middle ground. Not everything is a tale of two extremes. I love God, I love all scriptures, and I still like music. Music can be a lot of fun and educational. I've learned some Japanese through J-rock songs, and roku in Japanese means both rock music and the number 6. What blew my mind about this song was how every line was screaming Saturn reference at me. And it's not like I could stretch the lyrics of just any song to be a reference to Saturn. Like The Darkness, I Believe in a Thing Called Love. I mean, that's definitely not about Saturn. That's referencing Jupiter, if anything. When I first heard this song, I listened to it on repeat to see that if I could find a line that didn't have any links to Saturn. And when I couldn't, I had to get in touch with Danielle and ask her if it was done on purpose. I would have been incredibly surprised if she'd said yes, as I was aware that she's not into the things that I talk about. It really made me consider the layers of this world, wondering if everything we manifest is divine inspiration within it. And again, Danielle did not write it this way. This is my interpretation of the song. It is not my place to say what she meant by what she wrote. That would be up to her to say. And some artists don't like to say. 1,000,000 people could listen to a song and hear 1,000,000 different things. And sometimes telling people what you mean in your song ruins the magic of their experience. I've shared with you what I hear when I listen to it. And I love the music in this song. It reminds me of many songs that I've listened to in the past. Many good memories that come along with that. I haven't played you the whole song because it's much better to get the full experience of listening to it from start to finish, which you can do on their channel, which is in the description box below. If you're on a devoted path to a spiritual connection with God, then obviously you'd be better off in stillness and silence. But if you do listen to music, especially rock music, then why not go check them out? They have a bunch of other songs and 2 more coming out as part of a 3-track EP with this one. And after hearing this one, I'm really looking forward to the others. Again, the band is Bled The Fifth, and if you haven't heard it in full, you should listen to this song on their page. It is made for you, after all. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.